I'm like, woo, yay! Hi everyone, today we are going to be doing a review on the new Hipdot palette that I got in this September's Boxy Charm, and just going to talk about it. I have used it once before. Today I will be doing a demo with it today and talking about it. Um, so I do have a little bit, I kind of tried it out a little bit to see what I thought. So I do have, some feelings on it and some ideas of what I feel about it. I really love the colors. They are beautiful colors. They're all fantastic. My only downside, as far as the color scheme, is they have this one purple here, and the undertone doesn't really go with all of them. You can maybe use it with two of the other colors. You could use it with this one and this one, so you could use those three colors. But that's all you could do to do a single look, and that's not enough to do a full eye look. There's no brow color that you can use with it, and there's no transition shade. There's just two very darks and a very light. And you could do something if you brought in another palette to fill in the spectrum. So that to me was a little upsetting because I'm like, okay, so you gave me this one random cool tone and two neutrals that I could use with it, but the rest of them are warm tones. And so it limits the spectrum of how much you can actually do with those three colors, because that's all you can do is cool tones. Now, if you switch over to warm tones, oh, you can do a fabulous look with this that I did the other day and which I will be doing today, because all of the colors except that one right there are warm toned or neutral, so they all work really well together. Most of them a slightly warm tone. The purples all have a kind of plum undertone, with a little bit of a redness to them, which goes with the warm tones in the burgundies and stuff like that. Um, so even though they're purples, they're not cool tone purples. These are warm tone purples. So you can use the purples with the oranges that are up here, the burgundies and the creams and stuff like that. So that's really cool. You can use the whole palette if you stay in a warm spectrum, except for that one eyeshadow that's a cool tone. So that was my one impression from this palette. The other was that they don't really have a very light highlight. Their highlight color, which is sandstone right here, is their lightest color in the palette. Unfortunately, if you are not medium to dark toned, that's going to look a little too dark on you to be a highlight. So as a standalone palette, to use this one palette only to do a whole eye, if you are mid-tone, a little bit darker than I am, so mid-range colors up into dark skin tones, you could use this palette and do a full look with just this one palette. If you are on the lighter shade spectrum like myself, you will have to bring in a second palette just to get the right highlights. I am going to use this highlight on me today, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Other than that, I really don't have any complaints with this palette. It's a really good palette. The colors are really nicely, deeply pigmented. They transfer true to tone. So a lot of times you'll get these beautiful shades and then you go to put them on and they don't look the same. And that's not the case with the Hipdot palette. It actually transfers the same. So I'm like, woo, yay! So they do actually transfer from the palette onto your brush and then onto your skin. They keep that same beautiful color scheme. So I do really like the colors. I really like the pigment. They have a little bit of fallout, but nothing really severe. You're not going to make a mess while you work with them. So overall, I really like this palette. And if you did get the Boxy Luxe for September that had this palette, you're going to enjoy it. So I'm going to switch over real quick and I'm going to do a quick demo using these shades just so you can see how it works. Just in case you're curious, they're crazy pigmented. I am stained trying to wipe this off with a wipe. So they're really pigmented. So I'm really excited about that. Yay! I'm just doing some really quick skin prep for myself. I've already moisturized at home, so I'm just gonna throw some setting powder. This is what I daily wear, so it's nothing fancy. So don't be like, ah, or really disappointed because I don't wear a ton of makeup on a daily basis. So I just set moisturizer all over me and sometimes do a little bit of setting powder. So if you're looking for really exciting products for my face, that's not this video. So now I'm going to prep my lid with a little bit of concealer. If you are one of the people who like to use concealer as a setting prep primer, there are some things you should know. If you do it heavy and thick, like you'll see on a lot of YouTube videos, it's gonna be a hot mess later. Your eyeshadow is gonna melt off, you're gonna crease up because concealer is more oily and your lids are pretty oily and moist, and so you will have issues later. I use it, but that's because I buff it out to where it's barely there, so you're hardly getting any moisture whatsoever. Just enough to kind of grab and prep your lid and smooth out the color tone and stuff like that. But you're really not going to have much of an issue. So that's just my 2 cents on concealer as eye primer. I like this brush. It's a new one I'm just trying out. It's from Crown Brush. It's the SS004 Oval Concealer. First time using it, I needed to get some more. And it applies really nicely. Cool. I'm not going to buff off that excess because I don't want my eyeshadow to melt off later. It's cocaine eyes! Ooh, sexy! I'm going to start with Sandstone, which is the lightest shade in the Hipdot. And I'm going to pack that on my lid. See what I mean about it not being a light color? So a highlight brow bone here should be 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin, just to give a nice highlight pop. And as you can see, this is darker than my skin. I mean, look how well those apply. Those are so pigmented. I love that. Give me some shimmer lift. Oh, I like this palette. This palette does not have black in it, which I always feel like I'm cheated when I don't get a black in an eyeshadow palette because you can use it so much. So I love that there's a dark brown. It gives you like dimension and contour color, but I always feel cheated because there's no black. So see how that catches the light really nice? It's going to help enlarge my eyes. I don't have really big eyes and I also wear glasses, so my eyes always shrink down. So a lot of the techniques that you see for my eyes and the way I do my eyeshadow is to make my eyes look bigger because I wear glasses. And I also have this lovely droop because I'm getting older and it's just the shape of my eyes. So if your eye doesn't need to really focus on enlarging, you can, shift around where you place some of your highlights and stuff like that to fit your eyes. Oh, I love this palette. Alright, now I gotta finish up some mascara and eyebrows, and then you can see how fabulous my eyes look. And there you have it, Hipdot. I think I love this palette. So if you got it, you're gonna have fun. I'll talk to you guys later.